Welcome to Sage Women, the podcast for midlife ladies navigating perimenopause, menopause, and healthy aging. I'm Melanie White, and each week I talk with experts and women sharing real stories, practical insights, and smart tips to thrive through this stage of life and beyond. It's Melanie on the Sage Women podcast, and today I'm here with Lauren Keneally. Lauren, welcome, and thanks for being here.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
I'm really looking forward to hearing a bit about your story and for you to share that with people about what you've gone through in terms of menopause, a bit about where we need to go with support, and maybe a few tips and ideas to help women make a few positive changes.
Sounds good.
So maybe we can start with a little bit about you and whatever you'd like to share with people listening about your story and your journey through menopause.
Sure, absolutely. So I guess going back a little bit, I had a 15-year career in corporate training. So that was a lot of fun. I then had a bit of a career pivot into the wine industry, and I spent 6 years there doing wine marketing. And that's probably where my story kind of really kicks off because I loved my job. I loved that industry. And on the outside, everything was shiny and amazing. But on the inside and underneath, it really was anything but. And so that was where my health really started to take quite a downturn. And
Okay.
I had, after my second daughter, I had quite severe postnatal depression and anxiety. That then went, I now know, straight into perimenopause symptoms, which was actually early menopause. So I was only in my late 30s at this time. So it was very difficult because I didn't understand what was going on with my body. The doctors were very confused as well. So I really took things into my own hands and just started reading everything I could get my hands on and listening to podcasts and just really trying to deep dive and find the missing piece, that thing that was going to explain to me what was happening. And so it really took quite a few years of seeing different doctors, not getting the answers. And then I just thought, right, I was used to studying. I'm a complete nerd. So I was like, that's what I'll do now. I will work this out. And it turned out, it was diagnosed retrospectively that I'd gone into very early menopause. So it's called premature ovarian failure. So that is just when your ovaries decide to stop working earlier than usual. So that experience really led me to completely change the way that I nourish my body, the way I move my body, the way that I live my life. I made a lot of changes, not overnight, they were incremental, but it really helped me to understand the power of nutrition and lifestyle changes in easing this period of time. And I really thought to myself, gosh, if I knew back then what I know now, I could have really avoided a lot of the intensity of the symptoms that I had. And so I made the decision to leave a job that I loved and do a complete career pivot into the health and wellness space. And so that's where I am now. And I'm absolutely loving it. I think everything happens for a reason. And that was my reason. It was a difficult experience to go through, but I think that can create so much purpose and passion and drive. And my real goal is just to help other women avoid going through those types of symptoms.
It must have been a real roller coaster having two children, and after the second one, you mentioned the postnatal depression, which must have been tough, and then straight away the symptoms of perimenopause. Did you have any idea, or were there any clues? Was there a family history of early menopause? Was there anything that could have given you a hint that this could have been coming?
No, my mum, so there is sort of a genetic component often to the age that you go through perimenopause and menopause, but my mum went through, early 50s, which is quite standard. My grandma was apparently the same. But yeah, sometimes it just happens and there can be different contributing factors. So I know now that prolonged chronic stress can have an impact, be a potential contributing factor. And given that I'd gone through 2 rounds of postnatal depression with my 2 daughters quite close together, I did have that telltale prolonged period of stress. So I do liken it to that, the duck swimming on the water, and I was all happy, and underneath it was pedaling like crazy, and everything was falling apart. So it takes its toll on your body. You can't, your body needs to be nourished and nurtured, and otherwise it will send you very strong signals to get you to listen to it.
Yeah, I'm reflecting on how tough that must have been. And obviously, this was a couple of years ago, so there wouldn't have been necessarily the knowledge in the medical and healthcare fraternity around what you would have been going through. And I'm just wondering how and where you got support at a very difficult time like that.
There wasn't a lot, to be honest. I mean, my husband was amazing. So my personal network were amazing. My sister, my mum, everyone around me was great, but they had no idea. They could just support me. They couldn't really shed light on anything. But eventually I found my way to an amazing nutritionist who actually looked at my whole body, all of my symptoms, my history. And in the first appointment, I would say within 15 minutes, he said, that explains why you went into early menopause. So it was diagnosed by a gynecologist, but she didn't sort of have any reason. She just said, I can tell you that you are postmenopause, but we don't know why. But this nutritionist takes a very holistic view, and within 15 minutes, he kind of hit the nail on the head and said that I can tell you exactly why. So,
wow,
yeah, that was a very pivotal moment as well for me to think, gosh, if I can just understand the female body and even just the human body, it's so powerful, and it's so empowering. I think to have that understanding of the body. And that's why I do a lot of education as well in this space, because I think being educated around this gives you that feeling of power and empowerment about your body.
What was some of the clues, if you don't mind sharing, that came out of that appointment with a nutritionist? I'm really interested in the holistic approach that he took, and perhaps a couple of aha moments that came up for you in that consultation.
Yes, well, it was a long consultation. It was about 2.5 hours. And I remember coming out of there, and my brain was just thinking about all of these things. But definitely he was the one that linked the chronic years of stress. So the cortisol factor. And then there was also, I was on a medication that blocked stomach acid. And so I wasn't absorbing my nutrients. So I was incredibly nutrient deficient. And he explained that the body will always prioritize staying alive, and reproduction is not a priority to staying alive necessarily. So the body will actually shut down your ovaries and funnel the nutrients that it does have into those critical organs and body systems. So Hancock said those two things together was a bit of a perfect storm for me. Each one in isolation probably wouldn't have had that impact, but those two things together are what he said would have contributed to it.
Actually, as you're saying that, I just thought it makes a lot of sense if we look at things like high performing athletes and that sphere, and women that stop having menstrual periods because of their training regimes and their nutrition regimes and so on.
Yeah.
It makes sense that anything that taxes the body too much can disrupt reproduction or reproductive function. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes, you're right. It's quite common for women to lose their cycle if they're underfueling their bodies, or restricting their calories too much, or all different reasons. Chronically high stress is common for women to lose their cycle as well. So,
and aren't we in that era?
Yes, we are. And that's a space that I spend a lot of time on with my clients, because it's just so important. I think women just have so much on their plate. They're trying to do it all and be it all. And I've even had conversations with women when I say, what do you do for you? And they look at me blankly. Like, I don't know. And then I say, okay, we're going to spend this session and we're going to come up with a self-care menu of 5 things that make you happy. And they only need to be for 5 minutes, just so that you have that in your toolbox. When you have a 5-minute break, just do something that makes you feel nourished and nurtured and warm, and just calm that nervous system down.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so true, isn't it? I think of clients I've worked with before, and I ask them what hobbies they have, and they look at me strangely. I don't have any hobbies. I'm thinking, what do you do for fun? And often it's
Mm.
that subconscious, I must calm the nervous system. I must drink wine, or I must do this or that. It's not necessarily a healthy thing. I know people that
Yeah.
withdraw from social events because they can't
Mm.
cope with socializing, and yet socializing can actually really be supportive at a difficult time. It's interesting how the stress response really causes us to do things that aren't that helpful.
And I can definitely speak to that, because I definitely withdrew from social situations when I was, I guess, in the depths of my symptoms. I just did not have the bandwidth to put on the face and
Yeah.
pretend for an extended period of time. So I would just sort of retreat into myself. And I was also working in the wine industry, so it was very easy for me to lean on wine, and but I could pass it off as, well, I was studying wine. I need to do my palate training, and I'm studying this region, so I need to go and try all these wines. And yes, it was lovely, but I was probably hiding to myself the real reason that I was leaning on the wine. It wasn't necessarily for the right reasons. It was just to get me through. And changing my relationship with alcohol has been incredibly powerful. I might have 2 or 3 glasses of wine a month. That's it. And that didn't happen overnight either. But it's been a process. But I just decided that it just wasn't serving me, and I had other ways to feel good that
Mm.
didn't sort of detract from my health. So
Mm.
that is an
What
area.
what are, what are some of those other ways?
Oh my goodness. Oh, I have a list. My toolbox is so full. I'm not someone that buys handbags or shoes. I will buy like wellness anything. And I love experimenting as well. So
Yeah.
um, I love my ice bath. That is one of my favorite things. But I always do caveat that, in that I don't make it super cold and I don't stay in for too long. So sometimes people think that they've got to have it at 0 degrees and stay in for 10 minutes and shiver through it. And I'm like, no, no, no. Yes, it should be cold, but it shouldn't like increase your cortisol levels. So 3 minutes at 12 or 13 degrees is my top tip for ice baths.
Mm.
For women, I have a sauna. So I love my sauna. I go in there most nights. I love breath work. That's been incredibly powerful for me as well. I swapped my spin classes for yoga and Pilates. So that's a lot of fun as well. And then just I actually crave connection and catching up with people now, which is so lovely, because I had a couple of years where I really said no to a lot of things because I just didn't have the bandwidth. And now I feel like I have a lot of bandwidth. Um, and I really enjoy just, yeah, catching up with like-minded people. Yeah.
That's amazing. And I'm hearing you say this, I know there'll be women listening thinking, how do you feel that in? And
Mm.
I'm interested to know, obviously you said it's a process to get where you are now, and you might have had to get rid of some things in your life to make space for this, but how much time would you spend in a day doing things like that?
So I'm a morning person. So I love to, my ideal morning is I wake up, I roll out of bed, and I get in the ice bath. So I don't drink coffee. The ice bath
Oh,
is, the ice bath
that's
is
your
my
ideal
favorite.
morning.
It really is. I know. I lose a lot of people as soon as I say that, but
Shivering just thinking about it.
be a hard
That's
sell
your
when,
ideal morning. Yeah.
yes, it's my ideal morning. But what I do is I do my breath work while I'm in the ice bath. So that way I'm controlling my cortisol and I'm actually doing the breath work. So I do a lot of habit stacking because I've got
Right.
2 young kids. I've got a husband that travels a lot for work. and I have my own business. So I really need to be as efficient as I can.
And you said it was only 3 minutes, right?
That's only exactly. So that's 3 minutes. And then straight after that, I then sit in my backyard in the sunshine with my feet on the grass. So I do my grounding, get my morning sun, and I actually do my morning minutes, which is just a couple of minutes of journaling, just free form, whatever is in my brain, just yeah, whatever I need to get out. So that way, that's then three strategies, and that takes about 5 minutes. So we're kind of still under 10 minutes.
Wow. There's a lot of research in grounding, isn't there? I mean, I know people have scoffed about it, but there's actually Wendy Sweet talks about it too, Dr. Wendy Sweet, about the power of lowering blood pressure, I think it is.
Yes, it's amazing for inflammation as well, just for general mood. Our body's evolved to be in contact with the earth. And it's interesting, if you think about when you go for a walk barefoot on the beach for half an hour, you can feel amazing. And I think that's a combination of the sound of the waves, the sun on your skin, your feet on the earth. And it's just our body knows what to do with those inputs because it's been doing it for so long. And I think sometimes when we are inside all day, we've got blue light and we've got electronics and socials and we're in shoes and we're not getting any sun. That's when our body can get a bit dysregulated. It's like, I don't know what to do with these things. They've only been around for a comparatively short amount of time.
Yeah, that makes sense. So that's 10 minutes in the morning, roughly. And you've actually achieved a lot is not the goal to achieve, is it? But it's to make space for things that are going to help regulate your nervous system. And so are there other things in the day that you do?
Absolutely. I will tap into breath work as and when I need it. So getting my kids ready for school generally will require a few moments of breath work because they go on what I call sloth mode. And I'm like, okay, come on, we need to we need to get this going.
Yeah.
So I think in the past, especially when I was having a difficult time, and I'm sure there will be mums out there that can relate, I was quite a shouty mum. I just had no resilience, no time for sloth mode. And so mornings were really quite unpleasant for a period of time. But now that I feel the way that I do, and I have the bandwidth that I have, I can be I'm much calmer. And my kids are like, "Oh, mummy, you're so much calmer now." It's like, and they notice it, which is, a really good feeling. So I tap into the breath work whenever I need it. When you get stuck in traffic or something, rather than getting riled up and thinking, I'm going to be late, I don't know what to do, how can I get through this traffic? I'll just take a few, double exhales, whatever kind of pops into my head in terms of the type of breath work. And I'm very conscious of my nervous system. So whenever I feel it tracking up, I catch myself quite early and pull the tool out of the toolbox and just bring it back down. Sometimes it's even just, I have a lovely balcony outside my office and I'll just stand in the sun for a couple of minutes and sip a cup of tea and just soak it up and then get back to work.
I think what I'm hearing is that you have a fairly intentional and time efficient routine in the morning, habit stacking, as you said, and then during the day, it's opportunistic moments to use something very simple and quick that it helps you to calm down. And you mentioned when you feel your nervous system amping up. What are some of the signs that you have? You must be in tune with your body, firstly, to notice them, but then what are some of those warning signs that you need to take a moment?
Absolutely. And I think everyone will be different. But for me personally, I notice I start to chest breathe. So sort of short, sharp breaths rather than I've trained my body now to belly breathe. And that took quite a long time because I had years of shallow chest breathing that I had to unlearn. So that's kind of a real key for me. And my hands get a bit shaky. That's another one. And I get a little bit like irritable. That's definitely, I'll get a little bit short, sharp. Okay, yep. And that's when I know, oh, hang on a second. I'm amping up a little bit. Let's just pull out one of the tools. I need a couple of minutes and just calm back down again.
It's so interesting, the little things we pick up. I know for myself, when I've had a bad day, if it's affected me, then
Mm.
I'm not excited about cooking dinner. Like normally I feel, what can I make? Let's be creative. And then on the stressful days, I'm thinking, what am I
Mm.
going to make? It's too hard. It's boiled vegetables and steak. There's no creative flair, no sauces, no additions, no flavorings. So
Mm.
to me, I really notice, and we know that stress dampens creativity, but I have no space for anything creative at the end of the day if I'm not. But that's
Mm.
probably a bit late, right? We need to be looking earlier and saying, what do we notice during the day that might be pulling us down?
Absolutely. And I think as well, if you know that you are someone who is quite stressed on a regular basis, whether it's work or family or other commitments, I really found initially having an alarm in my phone that went off, and I would actually schedule a couple of minutes of breath work mid morning, early afternoon, and then before I pick the kids up. And that way I was just calming my nervous system down because I wasn't in tune enough yet at that point to know when I was leveling up. So that really helped. And then as I became more in tune with my body, I could, identify my tells and
Mm, mm.
and jump in quicker with the strategies. But in saying that, you know what, everyone is a work in progress. I have my moments, I have my days. I'm not Zen all the time. I am human.
Yeah.
So, but I'm much quicker to forgive myself and give myself some grace if I have a moment where I don't catch myself and I have those, the irritability or I snap at my kids or something. I used to really beat myself up over that and think, oh gosh, I'm just a terrible mum. My kids are going to need therapy and all of those self-limiting thoughts that you can spiral into when you're not in a
Mm.
place. But now I think, okay, that wasn't my best moment. I'm going to reconnect with my kids. I'm going to explain what mummy was feeling. And they love that. They love just understanding that mummy is a person as well. And, she's not always perfect, but she's trying her best. And that's yeah, it's really helpful, I think, having those open conversations, particularly with your kids.
How pivotal do you think it is for us to forgive ourselves and to have self-compassion?
Oh, so much so, because I think, especially when if you're someone where mental health has played a role, such as postnatal depression, and then those symptoms then continued into my perimenopause journey, I could ruminate for hours on what a bad mum I was. And usually it was between like 1 and 3 a.m. That'd be like my peak ruminating hours, um, which is not helpful at all.
Mm, mm.
So I think it's so pivotal to our mental health, to our physical health, to our nervous system, and just to the health of our relationships as well, to just accept that it wasn't your best moment. Take a moment and think, what could I have done differently so you can still learn from it? And then just, I say, do an Elsa and let it go. Like, there's a lot of Frozen in my life with two young girls. And so Elsa can teach us some good lessons.
I guess that's a really powerful opportunity for role modeling too.
I like to hope so. I think we're all doing the best we can with the information that we have. That's what I always say. Um, and I like to hope that I'm role modeling to my kids. I mean, my kids, they do breath work, they do grounding, they understand sunshine, and they talk really openly about what they're feeling. And even if they don't
Wow.
understand what they're feeling, my little one will say, Mummy, I'm feeling really sad and I just don't know why. And I'm like, that is okay. What can we do to help you? So, yeah.
Amazing.
Mm.
It sounds like you've come a long way. You're talking about it now, and it
Mhm.
sounds almost easy, but I know it must have been a big journey for you to incrementally make these changes.
Absolutely. And I think that's key as well. It might sound like I have completely overhauled my life, but it took years.
We
Um,
only ever see the after and we go, oh, wow, I wish I could do that. But we
yeah,
don't see the years of work and time and persistence invested in coming to this point.
100%. And trial and error as well. So I think there's so many different things that can help you in different ways, but it's not always going to work for everyone. So I have clients where they are not interested in breath work. They tried it, don't like it, move on. And that's completely fine. So what works for me is not going to work necessarily for them. And so that's why I like to have a huge toolbox of different options, and it's very client driven. So we say, okay, what out of these, say, 10 options resonates with you? What do you want to explore? And then they'll pick a couple, explore them. And then if one doesn't work, we go, great, let's pick another one and dive into that. And then it's about finding the things that work for you. I do love meditation as well, but I do short guided meditations, 5 minutes, 7 minutes. That's kind of what I can fit into my day. And other people either aren't interested or, they're like an hour long sort of self-guided meditation. So there will be something for everyone. It's just finding those things.
I guess we're talking about mental health here and nervous system, but we're also talking about symptoms, right?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Can you speak a bit more to symptoms and the work that you're doing and what you've noticed, maybe personally or professionally or both?
Yeah, in terms of perimenopause. Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of the symptoms, they do kind of cross between, your mental health and your physical health. So irritability and being quite quick to anger is a symptom that I'm seeing a lot that's very common. Your hot flushes and night sweats, very, very common as well. And sleep disturbances. So whether that's having trouble falling asleep, staying asleep, or just waking up really early at say 3 a.m. and not being able to get back to sleep. And then the other main one is that a lower stress resilience. So things that used to stress women out previously, used to not stress them out previously, now they find really, really stressful. And I like to explain to them that their natural cortisol levels have started to rise in perimenopause, and that's quite normal because estrogen and progesterone are anti-inflammatory hormones. So as they start to drop, our body will raise our cortisol levels because cortisol is also anti-inflammatory. So our body is doing it to help us, but I call it the cortisol bucket. Basically, their bucket is now more full. And so the space they have between where it's at and the top of the bucket and overflowing is a lot smaller than it used to be. So that's why finding those self-care moments and strategies will just help to just give them some more space between where the top of the bucket is.
That's a good analogy. And I think we don't realize how stressed we are. And I have been through burnout before when I was in my early 30s. I didn't see it coming. I only knew when I was in it. We don't notice those incremental changes that suddenly mean we've gone too far and then having to come back from that. And it's also interesting that I think historically people have been so much more, I'll do something when it gets bad enough or when it's disrupting my daily life, that's when I'll take action. But
Yeah.
I think what you're talking about is banking resilience.
Yes.
And being proactive to avoid going there in the first place.
Absolutely. And that's why some of my clients are actually in their early 40s, so the very beginning of their perimenopause journey. And we are really setting them up for success so that we can ease that period of time, and they can look at the strategies that are going to serve them during this time, and then look at what they might want to take out of their lifestyle and out of their diet that's not really going to serve them, and then that's going to exacerbate their symptoms. And doing that, as we said, slowly and incrementally.
Yeah. What are some dietary things that are unhelpful at this stage of life?
Absolutely. Unfortunately, a lot of the fun things that we often lean on for support. So alcohol is definitely one that I look at with clients. I don't usually go there first because it can be quite confronting in the first appointment to have someone talk about their alcohol. But I think as clients start to feel better and better, they feel more open to having that conversation. But alcohol will make your hot flushes and night sweats worse, and it will make the quality of your sleep worse. So if you are experiencing the flushes, night sweats, or sleep disturbances, then reducing your alcohol will absolutely help to reduce the intensity and frequency of those symptoms. Caffeine is another one. So caffeine will trigger a cortisol response, and remembering our cortisol bucket. So just being, I think, quite intentional about the caffeine that you have, thinking about when you have it, and also just even simple tips such as not having it on an empty stomach and waiting 90 minutes after you wake up to have it. Because what that does is it allows your natural cortisol levels to rise naturally rather than you roll out of bed and spike your cortisol straight up and then you're going to crash straight down again. So there's different tips like that. And then also sugar as well. So that's what I mean.
Good old sugar.
It's all the fun ones. But it's interesting once you do start just rethinking your alcohol consumption, rethinking, do I need those 3 coffees, double shots? You know, can I get away with just one and maybe a green tea? And then rethinking the sugar and retraining your palate as well, because our palates can get so used to high levels of sugar, and our brain can really crave it because it, you know, it makes us feel good. And if we're not feeling happy that day or we're feeling down, it's easy to quickly grab some sugar and feel up again. But once we give the women different ways to feel good again, they're less reliant on those things that they've relied on in the past. And it can really do a palate reset in terms of sugar. And suddenly things like blueberries or raspberries can taste incredible. And something like a Tim Tam can actually taste just like way too sweet now, particularly sweet. But it takes a bit of time to do that because it is a process if you are someone that's eaten a lot of sugar for a long time.
Yeah, it's very interesting, the palate switch.
Mm.
For me, my mum went on the Pritikin diet when I was a teenager, which is basically no salt, sugar, or fat.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And that was a big adjustment, but and it was from all to nothing. But I think
Mm-hmm.
within perhaps a week, I suddenly couldn't stand sweet taste anymore, and that was a long time ago. But even recently, I had a bowl of porridge, which was just oats cooked in water. And I had a little bit of milk on it. I didn't want any sugar. I just didn't, and I don't eat a lot of porridge. I just felt like it one morning, but I just noticed once upon a time I would have added sugar to this or a banana or something or sultanas in an attempt to make it sweet.
Yeah.
Gone.
Wow.
Don't want it. And what a relief.
Yeah.
Because when you're eating sugar, it creates that addictive cycle. And there's so many people, I think, looking for energy, looking for a mood boost, reaching for something sweet in the hope that it's going to get them through that hump of whatever it is they're going to, or stress even.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I was definitely a sugar fiend during those years, and my thing was muffins. So I could not walk past a freshly baked muffin. It was impossible.
Wow.
And so that was definitely a process to start to reduce that. And, I do still have one every so often, but now I eat it with intention and I enjoy it. But then I also do my blood sugar management techniques around it. So I'll have some fiber first before I put the sugar in my body. And then I'll make sure I move my body afterwards. So whatever that might be, if I've got time for a quick walk around the block, or if I don't, I'll do 20 body squats. And what that does is just help to have your muscles pull up the glucose from your system, and it smooths out the blood sugar spike. So there's lots of different tips and tricks. So you don't always have to give up everything that you love, but it's about how can you have it in your life in a way that still serves you, and what can you do around it so that it doesn't make your symptoms worse.
Yeah, that's some great tips you've given us today,
Mhm.
Lauren. What do you think we need to be doing, or where do you think we need to be going with supporting women through this stage of life?
I think it's definitely starting to go in the right direction, which is amazing. even just a couple of years ago, women weren't even really talking about perimenopause and menopause.
Mm.
Certainly in my friendship circles and the people that I knew, it just wasn't even a topic of conversation. So I
Yeah.
think just having open conversations, I think menopause is having not just a moment, it's having a movement, which is so exciting to see. There are conferences, there are webinars, there's workplace training. I think that's amazing, especially in female-dominated industries and corporate sectors. So I was in HR for 15 years. So
Yeah.
that's always a great area to start because you can reach so many women. And I think raising awareness and education. So as I mentioned before, having an understanding of what is happening within your body is incredibly powerful
Mm.
to work through this period of time. So lots of, yeah, I think workplace, personal, social, education, and it's all starting to really come together at the moment, which is really exciting to see. And specialized clinics as well. So there are clinics that are specializing in perimenopause and menopause with GPs and specialists that can
Mm.
really, really hone in. If it's HRT someone's looking at, they can really get the dosage right for that woman, not just do a one size fits all approach.
Yeah. Yeah. We're learning so much more and really refining the way that we work with people. We, the collective we. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. So that's why I just shout it from the rooftops these days. I'm happy to talk perimenopause and menopause to anyone, anywhere, anytime, and just spread the word as far as I can.
I think a takeaway from this discussion we've had today for me is definitely being in tune with your body and understanding what you're feeling and what your needs are and how your nervous system is responding. That seems to be the foundation of your work when you're working with individuals. Is that right? Or is there something else that you think is important to share?
No, absolutely. Now, actually, I do a mindset shift with my clients around their symptoms. So, quite often when they come to me, they're feeling very much in the passenger seat of their own body and they feel like these symptoms are happening to them. But we actually do a mindset shift where I say, what if we thought about your symptoms as your body sending you a message about the type of support that it desperately needs? And they go, oh, okay. And I say, if you listen to it and think, okay, is my body needing, am I feeling more stressed? That might be cortisol. Am I not sleeping? That might be progesterone. Am I irritable? That might be estrogen. So if you can tune in and start to interpret that, then you can actually give your body what it's asking you for. And that's really powerful. So it puts you back in the driver's seat. This is your body, you're in control, but we've just sometimes forgotten to listen.
That's a really great message, Lauren. Thank you. And thank you for your time today. I really enjoyed speaking with you. And I hope that for people listening, they have a great sense of some things that they can do. You've shared a lot of really fantastic, simple tips that anybody can put into place. And we'll definitely be putting some links to you in our show notes for this episode.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I really enjoyed our time.